This is GGB co-host Poppers, and today we're going to be getting into the fourth quarter of the Sun Belt at FCS Division II, Division III game. If you don't remember what happened last episode, the starting quarterback for the Sun Belt, Mr. Brandon Silvers, went down with an injury. We don't know if it's serious or just going to take him out for a few plays, but right now we're going to see Levi Brown through the field on this 2nd and 12. So, the Packers definitely look like they're in the driver's seat, but Sunbelt is still within striking distance for a comeback, so they should not feel so safe quite yet. So this is going to be a very interesting play here. So, Mr. Levi Brown, this looks like a pass. I'm going to be honest. Let's see what Mr. Levi Brown does here. Kind of scrambles out, throws a somewhat accurate pass for 4 yards, making it a 3rd and 7. So, let's see what the Eagles can do on this 3rd and 7. So, this looks like a pass. Once again, 3rd and 7, that only makes sense. Drops back, he scans the field, he throws while being hit. Touchdown, what a throw by Mr. Levi Brown. Right in there. And gives them 21 points. More points than I thought they'd ever score in a game. But somehow they've done it. What a pass by Mr. Levi Brown. Cuts the leads. So let's see if Will Lutz can make this extra point. And he does, and it's through the uprights. Gonna add 21 points for the Sunbelt Eagles. Let's see if the Packers are gonna be able to drive the ball down the field against the Sunbelt Eagles again, or if they're going to hold up on their defensive side of things. Doug Peterson's giving the ref a little talking to. Let's see what happens here on this drive. Will looks ready to kick it off. Let's see if there's a kickoff return on this play. Kicks it off, and it's to go. Let's see. And it's out the back of the end zone. But Jimmy G's taking the field. And Jimmy G's had a pretty good day today. Hasn't made too many mistakes. Hasn't thrown an interception yet. He's gotten the ball somewhat to Thielen, which is what you'd want. But what's really working, I don't know. I guess the passes to Cup, Thielen, Delaney Walker, Hill. But instead they go I form here. I mean, they do have the best fullback in the entire NFL in Kyle Juszczyk. So let's see what they go. They go play action here. Scans the field, he throws. Incomplete. So it's going to be a 2nd and 10 for the FCS Division II, Division III Packers. Mr. David Mayo. I love Mr. David Mayo. Amazing man. Let's see what they do here. Looks like a run. And plus, it's good. Okay, so they bring a blitz. They go dump off pass. And that definitely worked out. Quick throw. Guy just outran everyone. Mr. Delaney Walker. You might not get to see Delaney Walker very much, considering he's getting older. Might retire. That means Dallas Goedert will eventually have to inherit that role from him. Either that or Nick Boyle. I just don't see Nick Boyle being able to inherit the Delaney Walker type role. Plus, Delaney Walker is one of the best tight ends in the NFL, in my opinion. Kittle, Hurts. So they go draw here. And he's tackled, I wouldn't say immediately, but pretty quickly for only a 4-yard gain. I didn't even think it was 4 yards. It looked way shorter than that, but that's to me. So let's see what the Sunbelt Eagles do here. Looks like it's a run. Run makes sense considering how well they've run the ball. Oh, they go sweep with Thielen, but it is eaten up on the outside by Mr. Mario Addison. And now it's looking like a 3rd and 8. Let's see if the Sunbelt can stop them here and continue the goal to put back in this game. Even if they don't end up winning this game, they fought so hard in this game, played so well. And the Sunbelt is really looking like it could be a team to compete in the future instead of normally the one that just kind of gets beat up in the first round. Has a few playmakers that we've seen. Oh, he gets off the screen, and the screen, oh, whoa, it's going, he's going all the way into the end zone. Mr. Austin Eckler out of Western State, Colorado. He runs away from everyone. The offensive line did a great job with their blocking. And at the end there, just Eckler's faster than those other 2 guys. Talking about Eckler, let's talk about the real world for a few seconds. The Chargers, man, they are just, at least to me, looking like a team that could possibly compete for the playoffs next year. Actually, I'm going to be honest, the entire AFC West looks that way. Except for the Chiefs look like they're going to dominate once again. But I'm thinking wild card round for some of them. They definitely look like they could do it. The Broncos, for instance, look like a very strong young team with Locke and an offense like with Noah Fant and Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay. It's looking like a very good young offense, and Vic Fangio can just lead them to victories. Then they're going to be able to make the playoffs. They could actually make some noise there, considering how great that offense is. The Raiders have actually built up a very strong team quietly. I mean, last year though, they ended up being a team that looked like they could compete for the playoffs. But unfortunately, they kind of fell apart near the end of the year. But Derek Carr's still there. He's a very good quarterback. You have Hunter Renfrow came on at the end of the year, and Darren Waller is suddenly a tight end that is not to be trifled with in the NFL. It was a great tight end. Can't believe he was. We didn't even know who he was before this year because Jared Cook was on that team. Cook went to the Saints, and let's not lie about this. Both of them shined on their new teams. I guess maybe Cook just needed to change the scenery because he was amazing in New Orleans. Or maybe he just needed a quarterback that can, throw very well. But the Raiders, if they draft a wide receiver this year, I wouldn't be surprised if their offense was lethal. I really think Derek Carr is a really good quarterback. I wouldn't say a great quarterback, but a pretty good one. Oh, intercepted, and it's going to be returned for a touchdown. And that's just kind of the end for this FCS Division II end of the FCS Division II Division III game. They pretty much have it locked up. What a interception, that one-handed. Nice. But back to the other thing. The Raiders. So, good job by Kenny Moore. He's not even the starter as Pierre Desir. But back to and the Raiders actually have built up a very formidable defense. So it's actually going to be really interesting to see how well the Raiders do next year. But then also, you got to look at how well do you think the Chargers are going to do next year. And the Chargers are a little bit of a wild card. I mean, they're the most of a wild card in the AFC West. Like, it's kind of surprising that 2 Hall of Famers actually left their teams this year, Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady. It's amazing, but Tom Brady's a Buck now, and Phillip Rivers is a Colt, which just makes the AFC South and the NFC South even more interesting than they were before. They're always interesting. But the Chargers are a very good football team outside the quarterback position. I think Tyrod's pretty good, but I don't think he's a great quarterback that can take them to the playoffs. But I don't know, their offense, I just don't have that much confidence in. But I think Justin Herbert is honestly a great quarterback, has the ability to be great. Just with a few games under the wing, and that's what Tyrod's probably going to serve as, kind of like a transition quarterback. Play the first few games, and then we'll have Tyrod take over for you. Anyways, Brandon Silver's back on the field. Yeah, if he were Levi Brown threw that interception, but pick 6, but they have the ball back now, so hopefully they can put it in that end zone for some points. Get to 20. This is just about pride now. Just pride about the offense heading into the next year. But honestly, they've competed more than I thought they would today. Drops back to pass. He scans the field. He throws. What a throw. Honestly, that wasn't a bad throw. It wasn't an easy throw either. It went right to the guy. First down for him. For Albert that was his first reception of the day. I kind of know why they're losing now, because Albert Wilson is their best wide receiver. If that's his first reception, you have not been throwing to him enough. He needs to be thrown to more. Albert Wilson. It's Georgia State. Anyways, they go 5 wide here. Brandon Silver steps back, he scans the field, he throws, and he just kind of threw it to the 40-yard line. Just kind of, it's like that line yard's open. So, let's see if he can pick up this 2nd and 10, or if we're going to get to see a 3rd down. Let's see. Okay. Looks like it's going to be a 4-man rush. I obviously don't recommend a run here. They don't run. Offensive line somewhat holding up, and he fires downfield. Again, what a throw. It was a dime. I guess it's just like, they're like, you know what? We haven't gotten to Albert Wilson all game. Why don't we just, try to get it to him? And apparently that works. Because, he is your best wide receiver. And he's pretty good. I wouldn't say he's great. Honestly, he's probably the 2nd best receiver. I don't even know if that on the Dolphins team. And it's the gosh dang Dolphins. So let's see what they do here. Brandon Silvers gets the ball. They go screen pass here. They throw it to Matt Breida. And he picks up a good few yards. 2 to be exact. Actually, never mind. 4 to be exact. That's a lot more than I thought they picked up, honestly. I thought they picked up like maybe 2, 4. That seems like a bit of a stretch. But let's see what they do here on the 2nd and 6. Brandon Silvers gets the ball, snaps it, he throws it short, and he picks up a good about 3 yards, I'd say. Yeah, 3 yards on the ground. So now we're looking at 3rd and 3 at the 29-yard line. Let's see if they can convert, or if they'll take the field goal on 4th. Let's see. This looks like a run, but honestly, I think I'd go play action here, or just go straight up. But instead they had a guy run a route where he came back. Words that doesn't make any sense, but 11 minutes left. It's going to look like either a field goal or they're going to go for it on this 4th and 3. I just don't know. I feel like they know, and Doug Peterson knows, there's no chance they're going to win this game. So, I mean, you might as well sacrifice your pride and put as many points up on that board as possible. But instead, they're going to go for it here. Let's see if they can pick up this first down. Drops back to pass. They bring the heat, but he throws a dime, and it's caught. First down, 17-yard line. So let's see if the Sun Belt can punch it in once more, make it a 20, put up 20 points, which would be amazing considering they don't really normally put up a lot of points. So let's see. Brandon Silvers, this looks like a pass. Yeah, he definitely is now that he's spread out the running back line. Drops back to pass. They bring a blitz. He throws it quickly, almost intercepted. And honestly, he had slants more open than that curl, but if he hits the curl, it's still going to be a good-sized gain. Unless the guy drops the pass. So let's see what he does here on this 2nd and 10. Again, a run would work here, honestly. But instead, he's sending him the running back wide again. This looks like a 3-man rush, but they'll probably bring a blitz, yeah. Yeah, it's knocked down by the blitzer. So 3rd and 10, let's see what they do here. 10 minutes and 3 seconds left. I'm thinking maybe an out. I think I'd go out here with Albert Wilson. Or maybe like an in route with Gerald Everett over the middle. But instead, they're going to go I-form, handoff, tackled immediately. I guess they just kind of want the game to be over with at this point. I think they're embarrassing themselves. But honestly, the Sun Belt played a lot better than I think a lot of people expected. They're like 50-something overall, I think. They're bad. They're not a good team. But apparently Doug Peterson installed some kind of confidence in them. They played well above their overalls today. Great effort by the Sun Belt. They should just give up at this point. They're going to take the field goal. Throws it, and it's dropped. And FCS is going to come back out on the field. With 9.5 minutes left to go. And honestly, that should have been an open throw, and I think it was. I think it hit that guy. But Jimmy G, he's having a pretty good game. 23 of 31, 328 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. He's having a great game so far. Let's talk about Jimmy G in real life, though. The 49ers, who went to the Super Bowl last year, but a lot of that was thanks to their defensive line, and they just traded away DeForest Buckner this year. So I don't know how well I'm feeling about. I go handoff here for the 49ers. Good pickup by Eckler. I just don't know. If you watch any else of my videos, then you'll know that my NFC, to pick to win the NFC West next year is not the 49ers, but the Arizona Cardinals. And it's because of 2 simple reasons. Number 1, Arizona looks amazing. Okay? DeAndre Hopkins is great. Christian Kirk, also a very good player. And you're looking at Kenyon Drake at running back. And I'm just thinking Kyler Murray, the playmaker, at quarterback. I just think that normally sophomore quarterbacks every year we get some in the playoffs. I think the Cardinals are of those sophomore quarterbacks which are left, which there's like 5. And if we're looking at them, you got Redskins, the Giants, and those are both just wild card teams. They could play well, but they also could play horribly. You got the Jags. The Jags are just in complete disarray right now, and the only person on that team I actually believe in is Gardner Minshew at this point. I mean, Leonard Fournette's a pretty good running back, and they could have a pretty good offense next year, but their defense has just looked. Now, they've gone from 2 years. They were in the AFC Championship game. Now their defense is completely torn apart. There's nothing left on there, really, that's worth anything. But now you have. And then finally, the only sophomore quarterback that for sure is starting next year is Drew Lock. And I do think the Broncos are probably the second best of these teams, but you also have the Kansas City Chiefs in your division. And unless Mahomes gets hurt, I just don't see any team other than the Chiefs winning that division because Mahomes is that great. And then just pick up that first down. But, yeah. That's why I'm... And then if there's an up in the debate, or there's up in the air debate about what the Patriots will do. But right now we're looking at Jarrett Stidham starting next year. That would be our other sophomore quarterback. But there's just... The reason the Patriots were good last year and not horrible was their defense, which a lot of those guys went away this year. I mean, granted, you still have the McCourty brothers and Gilmore, which means that you're not going to be able to go corner. The corners and safeties are still great, but the run game should be just absolutely amazing for other teams. Just because of how poor that defensive line is now that they lost Kyle Van Noy, who was a playmaker on that team. But the other reason the offense was not horrendous, was the fact that they had Tom Brady on their team. All the receivers on that team aren't good. So, it's really just... Was Tom Brady making plays last year? That's that clear pad in his stats, but... Yeah, that's one reason I think there's going to be at least one sophomore quarterback in the playoffs next year. I'm actually going to pick two. It's actually going to be not what you expect, but you have the awesome man, the myth, the legend himself, Kyler Murray, and he is great and awesome. And he can definitely have his team compete next year. He's one of the best quarterbacks I've seen play in a long time. So we got about 20 minutes left in this video for you guys. I hope you guys are going to stick with it. I'm sticking with it, so come on. Unnecessary roughness. I just didn't see it. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I didn't. I don't think poor Craig Mager deserved that penalty, but he got it regardless. But let me know in the comment section below if you guys are as hyped as I am for this series. Obviously, this is going to go into the month of May. I'm hoping that I'm going to be out of quarantine by May. I hope you guys are... I'm not the only one that's hoping that. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen someone not in my family or named Boris or Timmy or Jill. So, I'm just really tired of seeing the same people every day. Not to insult my family or anything, but they're all getting on my nerves a little bit. I mean, I feel like that's the same way for everyone, though. It's just really hurting not to be able to see anyone that I really, know. Like, at school, or, like, I never thought I'd miss school, but I am missing school, if that makes sense. I really miss, I don't know, any sort of normalcy, because I'm still doing schoolwork, but I'm just not getting to see anyone, I enjoy the really, like one of my close friends and stuff like that. I'm missing them. I don't know if you guys are feeling the same way, but these videos help keep me sane. So please, thank you for watching them. It's great for me and for my mental health. It's just really helpful for people to watch these. But these are definitely just helping me keep somewhat sane. And it helps bring a sense of normalcy. Just doing one every day, it helps bring routine. It just, I don't know, it just makes me feel somewhat normal anymore. I need anything I can to feel normal. But I'm hoping the NFL isn't delayed, and so is college football. If they are, then I might just, I don't know, eat a pillow. I'm gonna die. It's just horrible to think about. I can't live without sports for that long. I was like, no sports for summer? No, March Madness killed me. I don't know if it killed you guys. I was like mourning for like 2 or 3 days. March Madness being canceled really hurts because that is probably the best playoffs
in my opinion, they're the best playoffs that you get to see. Because even if you're garbage, like the whole year, and it's not just March Madness, it's like the week before as well. Because I've seen it. Pretty sure everyone else has seen it, where you don't have a great year, but you get healthy right before this tournament starts, and you play your way in by getting through and winning that is playing those games, and you end up making the tournament just because you ended up winning your conference in the tournament. And I think that's the way football should be done, if I'm going to be honest. But the problem is there's just so many statistical things. But anyways, I don't know if no one else feels the same way, but I feel like if you could do college football the same way, I think you'd even get more views, because it'd just be so much fun, Like, if you could, then you wouldn't have the debate about which 4 teams should make it. You just win your conference. You win it. You get in. You could have, automatically, you'd have Oregon in there, and Oregon could compete against anyone, and then we could get around of 64 or 68 teams. Like, you could have Memphis. Memphis can compete with legit anyone, and you have who won the Mountain West this year? The Boise State, who can compete. You have MAC. You have Sunbelt, Conference USA. Sunbelt, like, you have a team that can really compete in App State. App State's one of the best teams, in my opinion. And then you can have teams like UCF make it, because UCF can compete. I don't know if no one else thinks that, but they're wrong if you don't think that. And that's dropped by the Sunbelt guy. But App State is one of the best teams in the NCAA right now, at least in my opinion. You have a lot of great teams, and I understand, like, okay, never mind, take it back. You can't have 68 teams for football, because there's just such a talent differential, and it's not like basketball where you can make up with it. It's football, and I mean, sometimes, as you can see, there are upsets, like South Carolina beating Georgia, Illinois beating Wisconsin, but it's not the same thing. But it would have been fun to see Minnesota in the tournament, because I legit think Minnesota could have competed. But 8 teams. I feel like if we're talking about college football, 8 teams are the perfect number of teams to make the tournament. If you win your 5 conferences, Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, SEC, automatic bids if you win those. I just feel like that would make it so much better. And then you get one team from a group of 5, okay? You can pick one conference winner. I mean, you could have picked App State or Memphis or Boise State. I mean, any of those this year. That would have been fine. So we would have had LSU, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Clemson, Oregon. I think probably Memphis. Memphis probably would have been the pick there. But then you have 2 teams, wild card picks. So when the conference, the committee wants to pick teams, those are the 2. So this year I probably would have gone with let me think. Honestly, let's see, 8 teams, maybe Penn State, Florida. Penn State and Florida, I think I would have gone with. Wait, Penn State and Georgia. Georgia. No, Penn State and Baylor. I feel like Baylor deserved to get in more than Georgia, because if you just look at their resumes, you have they lost to Oklahoma twice, okay? And Georgia lost to LSU, which is a good loss, but they also lost to South Carolina, and to me, that South Carolina team is bad. But on top of that, Penn State only has 2 losses as well. I just feel like that's the more likely team to get in over Georgia, because if you look at it, Ohio State is a pretty good loss, because they play a really close game, tough game with Ohio State. They always do. It's sort of a rivalry. I mean, everyone from Penn State thinks it's a rivalry. I mean, Ohio State fans like to deny it, but the past 4 years have just been great, down to the wire ends. I mean, this year it wasn't, but it was still a very, very close game, very hard-fought game throughout. Will Levis almost brought Penn State back to win the game. They were down by 21 at one point, but then 2 forced fumbles later. It was a very close, very hard-fought game by Penn State. And they lost to Minnesota. Which, I mean, okay, so I think Minnesota's a very good football team. I mean, anyone who's watched Minnesota play last year should think that. They're very well coached by PJ Fleck. That quarterback guy is amazing. But they also have a great ground game. And we saw it against Auburn. I think they got the ball back with 8 minutes left. Auburn never got the ball back. That was how well managed and well coached it was by PJ Fleck. It was amazing. It was just an amazing feat by Fleck. Just his play calling and his ability to just chew the clock. It was... Minnesota doesn't play very interesting watch. Just, I want to watch it because it's such an explosive game. The way the SEC is now turned into. I used to think that they were a very good conference because of their defense. It's no longer that. LSU did not have a good defense last year, and I don't know anyway if LSU fans probably be like, yam, 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 yam. Fumble. Poor freaking Sunbelt. Only they can force a fumble from the quarterback, and at least the FCS still turns it into a 5-yard gain. That just does gots to hurt. Gots to. But Minnesota's a great football team. And honestly, looking at the Big Ten next year, it's a strong conference. You have Penn State, who can compete, and probably could, if we're talking about value here, Penn State's probably the most bang for their buck. If you want to take a risk on someone to make the playoffs and you want to bet on someone, Penn State would probably be the way to go, at least to me. You get the most bang for your buck because Penn State's a very good football team, but they're great. They're honestly, James Franklin's he's a great head coach, and Penn State has almost made the tournament a lot in the past few years. You look at, they got the 2 losses 2 years ago. They were by a combined total of 3 points. And then you have the year where we won the entire Big Ten, but we had 2 losses, so we didn't get in. But it's just amazing, to me, at least. So he drops back to pass. He scans the field. He throws. Honestly, I think Cooper Kupp was open for a first down. I think he could have gotten that. But instead, Jimmy G tries to go deep. He doesn't end up getting it. Minute 50 left. They're going to try a field goal with Zerline. But honestly, you have Penn State, Ohio State, which made the tournament last year, I'd like to point out. Ohio State's a great football team, okay? And then you have Michigan, who can compete. Michigan State had a down year last year. That does not mean they're a bad football team. That means they had a down year. There's a big difference. Lewerke's going to be gone, and Shea Patterson's going to be gone from Michigan and Michigan State, which is definitely going to impact them a little bit at the beginning of the year, but they can definitely pick up steam. And Michigan State made the playoffs before, so, they're always a team to compete with. Indiana definitely took a step up next year and is starting to look like a quality opponent, but the Indiana quarterback went to Northwestern. Maryland and Rutgers will always be bad, but you look at the Big Ten West, you have every single team there I think can compete. You have Wisconsin, which Wisconsin always competes. Very hard, very well fought, very good football team, very well coached by Paul Chryst. And then you have Iowa. Iowa, at least to me, has one of the best head coaches in the entire college football landscape. I mean, yeah, that guy's amazing. He's just one of the best head coaches. I just love it. And Iowa always competes. They're such a great football team every year. But yeah, on top of that, you also have Minnesota. Minnesota's a great football team now. Last year I was like, okay, Iowa, Wisconsin, definitely. They're the top 2 teams. But Wisconsin just came out of nowhere and was just like, same as Baylor last year, but I don't think Baylor's going to be as good this year because just like Minnesota, what made them special was Matt Rule. Matt Rule is what made that team special. They no longer have Matt Rule. Minnesota still has PJ Fleck. And, anyways, in the Big Ten West side of things, you still have Illinois, who can compete. Is not a fantastic team, but they can compete, definitely, at least in my opinion. You have Purdue, Rondale Moore, and their starting quarterback both went out last year, and they still almost got a tournament, almost got a spot in the bowl game. So they're still a very competitive team. They can definitely win if they have their starting quarterback in Rondale Moore. You have Northwestern, who just got that Indiana quarterback. He's very good. And that's the Big Ten. It's just full of teams. And now the SEC has about 5 teams. I'd say if you want to go for semantics, 6 teams maybe that can compete for the playoffs. The Big Ten, in my opinion, has... Wait, let me think. 7? I think 7 teams in that. I think Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. I think all 4 of those teams can make the playoff. All 7 of those. But if you're looking at the SEC, I think if I have to go with picking the SEC to make the playoffs, I think I know who I go with. And at this point, honestly, weirdly, it's Florida. It's not Georgia anymore. I would have picked Georgia a while ago, but it's no longer Georgia now. Fromm's gone. In Swift, you have to change your offense around like that, because as soon as Kirby Smart was there, you know who also was there? Jake Fromm. He's had Fromm as a safety blanket ever since. And even though Fromm didn't have a fantastic year this year, he was great at not making mistakes. Fromm didn't make a lot of mistakes. Fromm was smart with the ball. He didn't commit a lot of turnovers. And that's why I think Fromm's a very good prospect. I don't think he has as high of a level as maybe an Eason or a Hurts could have. I think Hurts can have a high level just because of the success of Lamar Jackson and Taysom Hill. Just because of the success of those guys, I feel like he'll fill a role somewhat like that. But I think Fromm could easily be an Alex Smith in this draft. That's what he reminds me of, if we're going to be honest. He reminds me of Alex Smith just because of his pure ability to not take what's not there. You know? That's what he reminds me of, Jake Fromm. He's very good at that. He doesn't take too many deep shots, but when he does, they're on target. At least to me, they're not bad decisions. And that's what I don't like, quarterbacks that make bad decisions. That's why Winston failed in Tampa. I don't care if you have all the talent in the world, which was what Winston had. Winston was super talented when he went there. He made so many mistakes. He threw so many interceptions. And Fromm is a guy that's not going to do that. He's not going to throw a lot of interceptions. Sure, he's not going to be the gunslinger you might want. But honestly, some teams don't want a gunslinger. They just want a guy that doesn't commit turnovers. Their defense can win it for them. Just you don't commit turnovers. But it's just it's very interesting to think about which teams will draft which quarterbacks. But anyways, you have, for the first year in a long time, Kirby Smart's not going to have Fromm. And actually, never mind. It's going to be the first time ever with Georgia that Kirby Smart's not going to have Fromm to lean on. So that's definitely going to be a big step for him, and I just don't know if he can do it with that Wake Forest quarterback transfer. And then you add on top of that, okay, let's look at the other teams. Alabama and Mac Jones. Okay, I'm just going to say it outright. I don't think Mac Jones is that great of a quarterback. I'm sorry to say it. I just don't think he is. And I don't think the reason that team succeeded in the past few years, and it's because of Tua. It's not because their defense. The defense has been absolute garbage, if we're going to talk about it. Just not good defense at all. But it's been Tua, okay? Unless you're going to turn that defense around, Mac Jones isn't going to put up 40, 50 points in a game, every game. He can do it. Against very bad teams he can, but you're going to play teams like Georgia and Florida and Auburn. I don't know Alabama's schedule, and I'm not going to pretend like I do, but I know you're going to end up playing Auburn and LSU next year, and I just don't think you can win those games. But going on to the other thing, I don't think LSU can win games like that either. He lost Joe Burrow. And honestly, if we're going to talk about it, Joe Burrow is what made that team special last year. They were great last year. But you know what made them great? Joe Burrow. Wasn't their defense. It was Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever watched play the game in college for that 1 year. Honestly, he wasn't that great 2 years ago, and he wasn't great with Ohio State. It was his senior year, which, again, I have a lot of trouble drafting someone just because of 1 year. That's what happened with Haskins with Washington, and we have yet to see if that works out. Bortles had one great year, and you know what happened with him? He went to Jacksonville. A lot of people wanted him to return for his senior year. He didn't, okay? And that's what happened. And then, anyways, so I think it's going to be, if I had to pick an SEC championship, I'd pick an Auburn versus Florida, because I just don't think, other than those two teams, any of the SEC teams can really compete. I mean, I think Florida now has a suddenly very strong chance of making the playoffs. And the Big 12, to me, it's a 3-team race, okay? I think it's a team race, really, but I gotta put Baylor in there because of how well they did last year. But Oklahoma and Texas. Texas had a bad year last year, but you know what? They still have Sam Ehlinger, which to me, Sam Ehlinger is amazing. And he is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen play the game. He is just so amazing. But anyways, guys, I'll continue to talk about quarterbacks later. I'm probably near the college football season, if I'm going to be honest. I sure hope they start on time. But anyways, please hit the like and subscribe button. It makes me feel so great in my heart of hearts when people actually watch my videos. It makes me feel so happy. Especially like, subscribe, comment, anything to make me give me ideas of what I should do videos about next. It's very helpful to me. It makes me feel happy. Anyways, guys, this is GGB, Coast Popper, saying adios, amigos.